KERRY KING is back with his new band, which sounds a lot like his old band. So let's take a closer look at Kerry's new project, discuss his first single, Idle Hands, what I did and did not like about it, and then see what we may expect from his upcoming debut album, From Hell I Rise. Here you go. So first of all, yes, now it is official! After months of teasing the fans and even announcing his first live dates, KERRY KING revealed the info on his upcoming debut album, and what is most important, announced the lineup of his new band. And here's the thing, well, most people assumed that this would be just KERRY KING's solo project, yet it turned out to be a freaking supergroup. So in addition to the legendary guitarist, the KERRY KING band will also include Death Angel singer Mark Osegueda, Kerry's old friend drummer Paul Bostaph, HELLYEAH bassist Kyle Sanders, and guitarist Phil Demmel. Yup, literally making it one of the strongest lineups he could have possibly assembled. Now, Kerry's original intent was also to include the Slayer guitarist Gary Holt in the band, yet, in his own words, the further he'd be getting away from Slayer, the more people would have called his new project Slayer Light or Baby Slayer, which he does understand people are going to call that anyways, yet he kind of didn't want to fuel that fire needlessly. And despite the many rumors of Phil Anselmo and all other vocalists who were believed to be joining Kin in his new project, yeah, he even said that he didn't want to pull the trigger and see what happens, just in case if his personal hero Rob Halford would have offered to sing with him, Kerry decided to settle on Mark Osegueda, taking the vocal lead in his new band. And boy was he right to do so. From the opening notes of the first single of the new record, Idle Hands, it becomes clear that Kerry's new rendezvous will sound and feel very familiar to all Slayer fans. KERRY KING himself said multiple times that if he wouldn't have been in Slayer, he would have been a Slayer fan. And so this, in addition to the whole fact that he was actually one of the main songwriters in his previous band, of course contributed to the KERRY KING's band's sound being a natural continuation of the legendary thrash metal band's sound sonically. Even more, in his recent interview to the Rolling Stone magazine, KERRY KING did say that Idle Hands, along with the other song from the upcoming album called Rage, were actually carried over from Slayer's sessions for Repentless. It was finished, we recorded it. I wasn't happy with the performance part of it, so I was like, alright, I'll put this in my back pocket until the next Slayer record, and that didn't happen, so now it's on my record. And in all fairness, hearing with how much anger, aggression, and enthusiasm Mark, Paul, and the rest of the band performed it, I have to be honest with you and say that I am actually kind of glad that we got to hear it reimagined today, when KERRY KING actually does have to prove something. And starting a new band, no matter what your previous achievements actually are, is always tough, and you do have to fight for your spot in the heavy metal landscape. And so I am actually glad to hear it how they hit it with the most energy he and the guys are physically able to do so. Going about the music, Kerry writes with an attitude of not fixing what isn't broken, as instead of experimenting, which according to Kerry is doing something he isn't good at, he sticks with what he knows how to do best. And yes, this of course does mean that it may sound Slayerish. The opening riffs gives out this classic 80s style thrash metal vibe, which follows you throughout the record, and which, if done correctly, and in this case it was done so, still sounds very fresh today in the 21st century. Although yes, of course we did hear something similar before. And here, by the way, we can come to the first conclusion, and I do know that it is still very early to judge the new record by just one single, but I will still dare to assume and do so. But from the sound of Idle Hands, it does look like Kerry will do his best to not deviate from the sound his fans know him for, and simply give the loyal Slayer fanbase exactly what they've been asking for, filling the void of the band, which according to him and pretty much everybody else has ended their career possibly way too soon.
So begins my revolution. Violence
And so I guess it is kind of understandable that the Slayer-like sound and feel carries over not only in Kerry's guitar work, but also in Mark Osegueda's vocal performance, who, let's be honest here, sounds freakishly Tom Araya-like, which Kerry himself points out that it is in fact so, but only because those vocal lines and melodies for this track were written by Kerry, and this is pretty much the only way he knows how to write those. But still, in my opinion, Mark was perfectly able to capture the feel and the energy Kerry King is known for, while still bringing in a touch of his unique sound into the mix.
I can't believe what I see with my own eyes. Can't accept the truth of all the lies.
And by the way, just talking about Mark and Death Angel overall, I just wanted to point out that in my opinion, this is definitely one of those Bay Area metal bands that deserves way more mainstream recognition than they currently have. And I truly hope that Mark's involvement in Kerry King project will not 100% affect his work with Death Angel, and he did already say in his latest interview that he still remains the Death Angel vocalist, but I still do hope that Death Angel's long overdue follow-up to Humanicide, which was released back in 2019, will see the light of day sometime soon. Although I guess realistically it all depends on how successful Kerry King's new project will actually be.
Do the devil's work!
But going back to the music, despite all of it of course being written by Kerry himself, it still kind of amazes me how much synergy there seems to be sound-wise between all of the band members, and of course it is understandable for Kerry and Paul, but I guess we also have to point out the very sturdy rhythm section developed by Paul Bostaph and Kyle Sanders, on top of which Kerry King and Phil Demmel were able to lay a very solid and rich sound and guitar work. And overall, I have to point out, and I don't even know why I thought so, but I am actually kind of surprised that Kerry invited another guitarist into the project. But I guess just the whole fact that Phil is a part of it, and also the fact that Kerry actually decided to step back and give the main guitar solo to another guitarist, I guess kind of proves that despite this still being very much a Kerry King project, this is actually meant to grow into something much bigger than that, with every member of the band eventually bringing something new and unique on at least the future records. And here, ironically enough, we're actually coming to the part which I'm actually not really a fan of. Kerry King mentioned that before settling on the band's name, he actually wanted to settle on gazillion other ideas, you know, something like King Slayer or something like that, to be able to underline that it is not only his band. Yet whatever cool name he came up with, unfortunately has been taken by some obscure Eastern European band.
Please talk more about how you hate Europe and bicycles.
And so by the end they decided to settle on the Kerry King name simply because of the aesthetics of the logo presented to Kerry. And here's the thing, and I have to be honest with you, but the logo is something I'm actually not really a fan of here, just like the anti-religious lyrics and the entire aesthetics of it, because in my opinion they are simply unnecessary here. And no, I'm not going to hate Kerry for that, but I truly believe that at this stage of his career and of the development of heavy metal overall, this isn't really provoking anyone anymore. And the most interesting part is that, in my opinion, the music is actually strong enough to stand even without it.
Testify that all God's hatred satisfies that nothing's sacred.
And by the way, talking about the lyrics, according to Kerry, most of the material for the upcoming record has actually been finished a couple of years ago. Yet after the war in my country, he had to go back and revisit some of the lyrics because of the way he personally felt about the state of the world after the full-scale invasion of Ukraine has begun. So here, first of all, I just wanted to thank Kerry for that, and also say that despite anything, one thing the Invaders are really good at is the master of deceit. So guys, please do not forget that the biggest and the most terrible war since World War II is going on right now in the middle of Europe. And thank you guys all for the amazing support you're showing to me, this show, and Ukraine through this very, very difficult time. But anyways, here's the thing. After hearing the first single, I actually am very excited to hear what Kerry King and the team will bring to us on From Hell I Rise. As despite all of the temptation I'm sure he had, Kerry King will not be reinventing the wheel there. And this is exactly what we need, since from the sound of Idle Hands, this is exactly the thrash metal sound that the genre was missing and truly needed since Slayer ended their career. And what about you? Please let us know in the comments. Thank you so much for watching this short video, guys, and we will prevail. Slava Ukraini!